Hey everybody, it's Rev from Into Gaming. Thanks for coming back. We're going to be doing part 3 of multiplayer interaction systems, which is going to be covering elevators. With that, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to take our door state we did from episode 2, and we're going to duplicate that and create elevator state. So it's an enumerator set up here. So the first one's going to be set to down. The second one is up. I'm going to make that change and go ahead and save it. From there, we're going to be jumping into my pre-built, and we can just run right through it. It's exactly like the net door setup, except for we have a different enumerator state, which has different values, and then we're actually going through and using vectors instead of rotators, because we're changing the location of the actor, not just rotating it. So beyond that, I just wanted to set all this stuff up so we can have a little bit shorter video, or at least give me more time at the end to cover some of the multiplayer aspects of it. So there's quite a big distinction between physically moving an elevator and replicating that information over to clients, and that's where we get all that jitter issues. With this setup, you don't get the jitter issues. So we're going to jump right into the viewport aspect of it and deal with our components first. As you see here, I have a root component, which is a scene component. I don't have any other static mesh actor to sit in place like I did with the door setup. I had a door frame that I was going to use as our scene component anchor. So we're going to be using just a plain old simple scene component here. Then we have the lift component, or the lift pad, which is going to be a static mesh. I went ahead and made a simplified one with geometry tools just to have something in here. Let's take a look at the settings on that. We have for our collision, we're not going to do anything with overlap events, so we can uncheck that. The character can step up on this asset. We're going with a preset of custom, query only, no physics, and the object type will be world dynamic. Other than that, I mean, it's identical to our door setup. With this one, you can see that there's 3 interact collisions, and one of them is actually a child of the actual lift pad here. You can see that right there. The reason why we've made one of them a child of the lift is so that it moves with the lift. Otherwise, it will not move. Then we have Interact 2 and Interact 3. These are going to be our movable and placeable interactions, so you'll see those in the demonstration as we go through. Next, we want to make sure that we change our component here. Down here is an elevator state, and we are using the elevator state type. We have a base location and a up location. Both are vector. Now with these vectors, they're both instance editable, as you can see here in the detail settings here, instance editable. This allows us to place multiple of these actors into our scene, and then we can independently set these values for each individual elevator. One elevator might go up 200 units while another one goes up 300, and this lets you customize that aspect of it. So with that, let's go ahead and just jump over to the code side of things. Like I said, it was just like the door setup that we had. Same generalized approach. We have our event interact that runs through, and it sets the new state. We have our timeline, which is a lerp vector. Same setup. It's a float track, same values, 1 second length, and our on rep function does exactly the same way as the door one. So getting back into the event graph here, you can see that we're using the base location as the lerp vector A and up location as lerp vector B, and we're setting relative location instead of relative rotation. So with that out of the way, Let's go ahead and set this one up. I mean, I have the basics in here. One other thing that I've done here with this one is in the construction script, I've taken the lift pad and I'm grabbing its get relative location, and I'm going ahead and setting the base location to that. If you look in my viewport setup here on left orthographic, my lift pad origin is not set to 0. It's actually elevated because I needed to shift that. Typically your static mesh for these types of things, you want the origin point somewhere around in this section of it. You want it to be actually on the bottom of the actual mesh, so that we can set the origin, or the top, depending on how you want to set it up. But you want that to be your origin point. You want it to be dead center on the root's origin, which the root's origin is always 0, 0, 0. So I had to lift this one up, and that's why I have this value here for my location. But the construction script just defaults and sets that automatically, so I don't have to worry about setting that value right out of the gate. So let's get back into the map. So I've gone ahead and dragged one in here, and we can see our collisions. I've already set up one of the collisions here. I'm going to select this real quick. You can see one of them I've moved over here, and if that's interact collision 2. Now I take interact collision 3, and I'm going to just move that, and note that I'm actually clicking on the component. I've selected it in the outliner, and I'm working with the details of that component, and I'm just moving that particular component. And there's nothing special about doing this to, there's nothing you have to do special to get this to happen. You can do this with every actor. You can move its components all you want. Technically I can move the lift pad and so forth as well. And I could set the actor itself at world origin 0, and then just move the individual components anywhere in the level that I want, and they'll still function properly. So we've got this one up here, and let me see, that's pretty close. Let me tighten that up a little bit right there. So now we have all our interact collisions in play. And interact collision 1, it's bound to the pad here, but you can still move it, and it should be good to go. So the next thing we need to do is set the up location for this, and I'm going to go ahead and select the lift pad itself, and its current location is 116. Now what I want to do is take the lift pad itself, it's selected in the component, and I just want to drag that up and get it pretty close. What is that, 305, 306 should be, yep, 306 is dead on. So that's going to be our new value. I'm going to copy that value. I'm going to reset the lift, and it snaps back to its base position. And then I'm going to click on the root of this actor itself, and we're going to go into defaults here, and now we have the up location is available, and I'm going to set that. And we just go bloop, copy and paste that. So now our elevator will actually go. So if I had changed this to say 506, let's just change it to 506, and I'm going to go ahead and save that, and we're going to play it real quick. Now 506 is going to bring it 200 meters above that, so it goes up pretty high. So I can go back and get back out of that, and we'll set it to 306, and then we'll play again, and we'll come back over here, and there we go, and we get our platform exactly where we wanted it to go. So that's that, and we can go ahead and hit this other interacts and make sure that they work correctly, and say they're doing everything. So now we got to do a multiplayer setup this real quick, just a multiplayer test, and we're going to do new Windows. I'll go ahead and drag this one out. I'm going to take this guy over here, and you can see him back in there on the other side. And he went up and down nice and easy. Go up, and then I'm going to Control tab over to the other guy and have him interact with this environment as well. And you see there's no jitter whatsoever. I'm doing some jumping here. Let's see if I can hit that. And there's no jitter. None whatsoever, even when they're both on the elevator. Let me put him right over here on the edge, and I'll tap back over to this one. See if I can't hit. Yeah, there's zero jitter, so we don't have any server correction going on here because the simulated proxies are, where they need to be. So what generally happens with the network side of this, when you're taking, for example, if I was to take this time live and run it strictly on the server, so the up and down motion would only happen on the server's version, and it would replicate out the new location. So we have this new location, and if it was to replicate this value out to, like, basically doing a multicast and multicast it to all the other players, what would happen is the server's only going to send you an update every 30 hertz. So if you're running a 30 hertz server, that's one update every 33.33 milliseconds. So you would only get a movement update every 33.333 milliseconds. And that's going to take time to get to you because of ping. So 50% of your ping is travel time. So if I have 150 millisecond ping, I have a 75 millisecond delay, basically, from server to me. So I'm having all these updates come, and my client's going to alert or interpolate from the previous position that the server sent me. And that's where your jitter is going to come through, because you have you have the server side saying, hey, your player's supposed to be here, correct it, and now it pops to that new spot, so it starts looking jittery. And that's just all it is. There's a lot of server correction. So replicating movement like this is not recommended. It's better to do it this way, or let the client actually do its own lerp and interpolation on the actual moving actor, and you get a lot better performance out of that, and it's smooth. It's absolutely smooth, regardless of your ping setup. So we can actually, let's go into advanced settings here, and I'm down to, where's the multiplayer options here? Device. There is a way to set up, here we go, network emulation. So we can get into the network emulation, and we can tick that on, and you can say clients only. Just give clients bad pings, and we'll say let's just do average, and it's what it's going to do is minimum latency 30, maximum is 60 with 1% of packet loss. So we can get some weird settings here. You can customize this all you want. We can test out. I recommend testing with a 500 millisecond ping, so you can really see what's going on with your setup. So we're going to go ahead and do this again. So we're emulating actual live. So when I jump, there can be a bit of a delay. Periodically, there's going to be a bit of delay in my movement. And same with the lift. There's going to be slight variances in it. I might get it on the left side. I might get it up to the top really quick in normal speeds, while the other sees it happen a little bit slower. So I'm going to take this tab over. And if we want, let me just do a basic test here. This doesn't seem too bad. 30 to 60 millisecond ping is not that bad. So I'm going to go ahead and get back into that preferences, and let's say a bad, and they're going to do 100 to 200. So in engine, they're saying a bad latency is 100, and 200 is guaranteed bad. So let's try it that way, and you should definitely see the differences here. There's going to be some delays. Yeah. See, now we're definitely starting to see the movement delays. server side, we're not seeing anything. Let's go back here. Because we're not adding any kind of delays to the server, so that replication, there it goes, a little bit. Let me get back out here. It's not too bad. No delays on the server. Control tab over. Bring this other guy. Where's he at? Bring him over here. We'll pop him on the elevator. I'll tab over on this one. So we're both on it. There's just a little bit of delay in the response of whether to fire off that information to the server that we hit. There's a delay in the RPC. You can see it. You can see the red hit and then the purple hit. Now, if we come into this preferences real quick, and where is this? We're going to say everyone. Everyone has a bad, and let's go back to average. Everyone has some latency and issues. But we're going to do an average value and not make it crazy. And there's still a little bit of delay there. And you can still see that slight delay with the server on there. And this happens with the doors too. But you see the movement, there's no jitter on the client. We're just getting response delays. And there's no issues there. So I think that will pretty much conclude this. Next video will be part 4, and I'll be covering the bidirectional doors. A little bit of extra code in this, not too much, so we're basically going to be copying this and making the modifications there, so make it a little bit faster. So hopefully all this stuff makes sense. I do want to make sure that I cover the class settings on the elevator, same as the other. You have to add your interface to it, so you got that, and then you have your class defaults. It has to replicate, and other than that, it's pretty much the same as a door. So thanks for watching. Have a good one.